Om Jnanati Mandasya Chananchala Sunaka Shakshramilitam Yena Tasmai Shigave Namah Shichetanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutai Svamupakadamam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiu Shiyuda Padakamanam Shium Vaishnavam Shah Shiyupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagalita Shivishakam Vitam Shah Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bandhu Tirtpate Gopesha Gopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanashvari Vishavani Sutadevi Pranamama Repri Vancha Kalptra Basha Kripa Sindhavesha Patnam Vainabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namo Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasad Gaura Bhaktavinam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvashesha Sinyavadi Paskachai Desatami. Srila Prabhupada, good evening. We will continue now with text 6 of Nectar of Instruction. In text 4 we have heard how to associate with devotees. Association with devotees means engagement in 6 loving exchanges, giving gifts, offering gifts, that then sharing one's mind confidentially with another devotee, and here another devotee sharing confidential his mind to you, of course, in the matter of Krishna conscious experiences and so on. And that in text 5 we learned that not all the devotees are on the same platform. Therefore, among Vaishnavas, we have to learn how to associate differently with different types of devotees. So we heard about these 3 levels of devotees, and now in text 6, we will discuss further how to associate with devotees, especially with the spiritual master, who is considered to be transcendentally situated. So we will read text 6 first. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Drishtai Svabhava Janite Vapusas Sadoser Na Prakritatvam Yabhakta Janasya Pashat Gangambasam Nakalubo Buddha Fena Panker Brahmadavatvam Apagachati Niradharmai. So, who wants to read the text, the translation, which is on the screen?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Being situated in his original Krishna consciousness position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee as having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges waters does not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water.
So, just a moment.
Recording in progress.
So this text number 6, it warns us not to commit offenses towards a pure devotee. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada first stresses that pure devotional service is practiced on the liberated platform. That it is Sudha Bhakti, pure devotional service, is the activity of the soul and is performed on the liberated platform. And as a result, a person situated on that platform is not affected anymore by material nature, does not suffer, that it does not engage in the pleasures of the body. Then Prabhupada will spend a few paragraphs on explaining how dangerous it is to judge a devotee by his external appearance. It is very offensive. And then in the third section in the paragraph, so Prabhupada refers to 9:30 of Bhagavad Gita, that even if a devotee commits abominable activities, it should be considered a sadhu. We have that also in Bhagavad Gita. And then Prabhupada goes back to what we have discussed in the first verse. The word Goswami refers to one who can't control his senses. It's not an hereditary title. And at the end of the purport, Prabhupada says, the Krishna consciousness movement is meant for the Paramahamsas. So that's the purport in a nutshell. But now we will hear about the Sudha Bhakti pure devotional service. I will read the first paragraph. Sudha Bhakti, the activity of the soul proper, in other words, engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, is performed in a liberated condition. In Bhagavad Gita 14:26 it is stated, Mamsayo vyabecharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitchetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So, one who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So that is in the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the three modes of material nature. That at the end of this chapter, Arjuna is asking that what are the symptoms of one who has transcended the modes of nature. And Krishna gives a whole list of symptoms from one who has transcended the modes of nature. That he said, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and illusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering, undisturbed to all the actions of the material qualities. That's a very high qualification. It means the devotee on that platform, whatever happens, good or bad, is the mercy of the Lord. He remains neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes are active. Only the modes are active. We have nothing to do with the modes. We have nothing to do with this body, with the activities of this mind, and so on. And we situate in the self and regards alike happiness and distress. Who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye. Who is equal toward the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friends and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. So treats alike friend and enemy. And then after that, Krishna speaks this verse. That's the method. Engaging in full devotional service and not falling down at every moment. That's very important. We must come to continuously remember the Supreme Lord. We will hear that in text 8, how by the chanting of the holy name we come to this constant remembrance of Krishna. That will be explained there. But then Prabhupada explains, Avyabhicharini Bhakti means unalloyed devotion. And then Prabhupada refers to, here in this text, to the definition of Rupa Goswami. Anya Bilasta Sunyam Jnana Karmata Navatam Anukulena Krishnanu Silnam Bhakti Uttama. He explains this, what's devotional service based on this definition of Rupa Goswami. And then he speaks about the method mentioned in 1426, which is quoted before, Mamsyo Vyabhicharina. So this Avyabhicharina Bhakti means unalloyed devotion. A person engaged in devotional service must be free from material motives. In this Krishna conscious movement, one's consciousness must be changed. If consciousness is aimed toward material enjoyment, it is material consciousness. And if it is aimed at serving Krishna, it is Krishna consciousness. So a consciousness is aimed. How do we aim our consciousness? With our intention, our desire. And so between material consciousness means the desire to give satisfaction to my material senses. Spiritual consciousness means the desire to give pleasure to Krishna's sense, transcendental senses. That's the difference. So the desire is different. So a surrendered soul serves Krishna without material considerations. Anya Bilasta Sunyam. Jnana Karmata Navitam. Unalloyed devotion which is transcendental to the activities of the body, mind, such as jnana, mental speculation, and karma, fruitive activities. So it's free from the activities of the body with the intention to get liberation through jnana, or with the intention to enjoy the fruits of his work with one's body, mind, and senses. That's karma. That such selfish activities should not be there in devotional service, only serving the spiritual sons of Krishna. So Janika Matanavritam, unalloyed devotion which is transcendental to the activities of the body and mind, such as jnana, mental speculation, that by the jnanis, they speculate and try to understand what's transcendental by denying everything. I'm not this hand, I'm not matter, I'm not all these things in this world, I'm not. But and that's what's left of this the spirit soul. That and they think like that by that artificial renunciation, the jnanis, by giving up their attachment, that they can get liberation. But that desire should not be there. That so we should not desire. If we want to perform devotional service, we should not perform activities to get rid of our suffering and so on. No, we're only to please Krishna. That's a high level. That means that if you pray to Krishna, please then cure my husband or let my son let him pass the exam or this or that, that's not pure devotional service. Then you are not yet on that platform. Your desires are mixed. That so Bhakti yoga is the proper activity of the soul. So if you have this right intention and you perform everything for the pleasure of Krishna, not for oneself, just for the pleasure of Krishna, you are acting as a spirit soul. That then the spiritual body becomes active. But if you are acting with material desires, you want to be happy in this world or whatever you want things to achieve in this world, it's not pure devotional service. Then you are acting with the mind and the body, but it's not transcendental. So that is something to be learned. Having the right intention. Of course, we cannot jump to that platform of pure devotional service. It's a gradual development. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvida bhajante mam yechana sukrita arjuna arta jnasa artarti jnanisa bharatarshava. There are four kinds of people with material desires who approach me, Krishna says. One who is in distress, one who wants wealth, one who is curious, one who knows the absolute, who wants to know the absolute truth. They have all material desires, but Krishna says they are dear to me. But the jnani, the one who wants to know me, is the best, because Bhaunam jnanamante jnanamam papachate vastev savamiti samatma sudurba. After many births, he comes to the conclusion, oh, I'm a servant of Krishna. That Krishna is the absolute truth. And then he starts to serve Krishna without material desire. So it's a gradual development. How do we come to that gradual development? What if we have material desires? Do we have to neglect them? No. You must look at your material desires and ask the question mark, can I use them in Krishna's service? I like to paint, I like to sing. That you paint for Krishna or you sing for Krishna. You're connected with Krishna. And gradually your material desires will disappear. So this is, Prabhupada says pure devotional service is acting on the transcendental position and liberated. That then we are not subject to the material condition, Prabhupada says. That Krishna's devotee is not subjected to the material condition, even though his bodily features may appear materially conditioned. One should therefore not see a pure devotee from a materialistic point of view. So that is dangerous. That is the point Prabhupada is explaining here. So as explained in previous verse, there are three types of devotees: the Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. The Kanishta Adhikari cannot distinguish between a devotee and a non-devotee. Dus dat is a characteristic. That he simply wants to worship the deity in the temple. A Madhyama Adhikari, however, can distinguish between the devotee and the non-devotee, as well as the devotee and the Lord. Thus he treats the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the devotee and the non-devotee in different ways. So that is the first thing that Prabhupada explains, Sudha Bhakti. So I try to explain again. So pure devotional service is first to please Krishna. That is the main characteristic. Please the senses of Krishna. Second is, it is without material motivations, without the desire for liberation, without the desire for material profit. Now, to act without that desire is very difficult, because all the material desires you have in your heart are anarthas, and they prevent you to perform pure devotional service. But Prabhupada said there are two kinds of pure devotional service. If one is pure in heart, no material desires, and one performs pure devotional service, one is a pure devotee. But if one's heart is impure, but acts only with the desire to please the spiritual master and Krishna, one acts also as a pure devotee. So that's important to understand. The purity of our desire with which we act is so important. Prabhupada said purity is a force. Now, that is pure devotional service, but the greatest hindrance to make progress towards pure devotional service is Vaishnava Aparat, the blaspheming devotees. And that Prabhupada explains now in the next paragraph, and it starts with the verse 930 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Can someone read what's on the screen, starting with "No one should criticize"?
No one should criticize the bodily defects of a pure devotee. If there are such defects, they should be overlooked. What should be taken into account is the spiritual master's main business, which is devotional service, pure service to the Supreme Lord, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. Apishat sutra charo bhajante mamananyabhak. Sadharev samantavya samyak vyapasitoi isa. Even if a devotee sometimes seems to engage in abominable activities, he should be considered a sadhu, a saintly person, because his actual identity is that of one engaged in the loving service of the Lord. In other words, he is not to be considered an ordinary a human being. So Prabhupada says here, what should we take in account is the spiritual master's main business, and that's devotional service, pure devotional service to the Lord. The other things we should not take serious. Can someone read the next part? This is all about the title of a Goswami.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please
Hare
accept
Krishna.
one reason. I'm sorry for being late.
Okay.
Even though a pure devotee may not be born in a Brahmana or Goswami family, if he is engaged in the service of the Lord, he should not be neglected. In actuality, there cannot be a family of Goswamis based on material considerations, caste, or heredity. The Goswami title is actually the monopoly of the pure devotees. Thus we speak of the six Goswamis, headed by Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami had practically become Mohammedans and had therefore changed their names to Dharikakasha and Sakar Malika. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself made them Goswamis. Therefore, the Goswami title is not hereditary. The word Goswami refers to one who can control his senses, who is master of the senses. A devotee is not controlled by the senses, but is the controller of the senses. Consequently, he should be called Swami or Goswami, even though he may not be born in a Goswami family.
Yeah. Here Prabhupada speaks about those who attain the title of Goswami but are born in a non-Brahman family. Can someone else read the next paragraph according to this formula?
According to this formula, the Goswamis, who are descendants of Sri Nityananda Prabhu or Sri Advaita Prabhu, are certainly devotees, but devotees coming from other families should not be discriminated against. Indeed, whatever the devotee comes from family or previous acharyas or from an ordinary family, they should be treated equally. One should not think, oh, here is an American Goswami, and discriminate against him. Nor should one think, here is a Nityananda Vamsha Goswami. There is an undercurrent of protest against our awarding the title Goswami to American Vaishnavas or the Krishna consciousness movement. Sometimes people flatly tell the American devotees that their sannyasa or title of Goswami is not bona fide. However, according to the statements of Srila Rupa Goswami in this verse, an American Goswami and a Goswami in a family of acharyas are non-different.
Yeah, that's what Rupa Goswami says here. That Prabhupada continues speaking about this. On the other hand, the devotee who has attained the title of Goswami but is not born of a Brahman family, father, or of a Goswami in a family of Nityananda or Advaita Prabhu, should not be artificially puffed up by thinking that he has become a Goswami. He should always remember that as soon as he comes materially puffed up, he immediately falls down. This Krishna conscious movement is a transcendental science, and there is no room for jealousy. This movement is meant for the Paramahamsas, who are completely free from jealousy. Paramam nirmatsaranam. One should not be jealous whether he is born in a family of Goswamis or has the title of Goswami awarded to him. As soon as anyone becomes envious, he falls from the platform of Paramahamsa. So it said a devotee born in a non-Brahman family who has attained the title of Goswami should not become puffed up. As soon as he does, he immediately falls down. Okay. this is about this title of Goswami. That's the Prabhupada stresses in summary. Goswami refers to one who controls his senses. It is not an hereditary title, like in Vrindavan, those who are the families who are possessing temples and who are directors of temples. They are also called Goswamis, but that one is only a Goswami when one can control his senses. It's not automatically that. So therefore, Goswamis coming from Brahmin families and Goswami come from Western families, they should be treated equally. That's the point Prabhupada makes. Good. Now we are. Prabhupada is warning us not to commit offenses to Vaishnavas considering their bodily defects, which come from very different nature. Can someone read the next paragraph? If we consider the bodily defects.
If we consider the bodily defects of a Vaishnava, we should understand that we are committing an offense at the lotus feet of the Vaishnava. An offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava is very serious. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has described this offense as Hatimata, the mad elephant offense. A mad elephant can create a disaster, especially when it enters into a nicely trimmed garden. One should therefore be very careful not to commit any offense against the Vaishnava. Every devotee should be ready to take instructions from a superior Vaishnava, and a superior Vaishnava must be ready to help an inferior Vaishnava in all respects. One is superior or inferior according to his spiritual development in Krishna consciousness. One is forbidden to observe the activities of a pure Vaishnava from a material point of view. From the neophyte especially, considering a pure devotee from a material point of view is very injurious. One should therefore avoid observing a pure devotee externally, but should try to see the internal features and understand how he is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In this way, one can avoid seeing the pure devotee from a material point of view, and thus one can gradually become a purified devotee himself.
Okay. That avoid seeing the pure devotee from a material point of view. I think it was Advaita Maharaj said. He said to Prabhupada, sometimes Prabhupada would misquote a verse and Advaita Maharaj asked that, yes, is this a pure devotee? Can he not make any mistake? Thus, in so far can we consider your instructions always absolute? That he was asking like that. Prabhupada said, no, a pure devotee is not perfect. He can make material mistakes, but his devotion for Krishna and his service and his intention, his pure devotion, that is perfect. There are two platforms. Vanuya?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Maharaj, I would like to ask, when I observe myself, I see there is still this tendency, also if you see someone, also not only a pure devotee, also Vaishnava, but in general, that there is always this tendency of the senses to judge what they see, ne? Also the externals, and how can I train the senses and the mind to concentrate on the spiritual qualities of the person, and not also not to make some yeah, like yeah, judgment or Beurteilung also of the external appearance, ne? Or
Yeah, yeah,
you know what I mean, I think.
yeah. That well, I think one way to deal with it is that uh, if you think something is wrong, then it's better to think, yeah, that maybe I did my perception is not right, or I did not understand it right. That, but don't see fault in a pure devotee. That's not good. That you rather take the position. I don't know why he said that in that way. That is a way because we we have our perception also. Yes. Yes, Erika.
Yes, I would like to ask. We speak when we mention aparad, just regarding to pure devotees. So just again pure devotee, uh, or any kind of Vaishnav.
That any kind of Vaishnava, that but the apparat towards a pure devotee is more serious. That, but any kind of devotee, we should avoid all offenses. Um, so we should not become too familiar with devotees, even on the equal platform. Yeah, yeah. But it's all kinds of devotees, but especially the pure devotee. We should serve the pure devotee and not see any faults in him. That is very detrimental. Venuia?
Yeah, I would like to ask us not only as not in relation with pure devotees, as with as normal normal devotees. Prabhupada writes, if I remember it correctly, in the Bhagavad Gita in 13:8 to 12, that we should not take yeah, smaller I will not say offenses, but smaller mistakes of others so seriously. And as we should overlook them, if I remember it correctly. Where is the border of this? Also, how far to overlook something and when not to overlook something?
Yeah, Prabhupada speaks about minor offenses should be overlooked. Minor offenses. So the question is, what are minor offenses? Maybe make so many unintentional offenses maybe while we serve together. We should not take them too serious. It's not. By the power of devotional service, that will all be burnt away. That but the serious offense, that's something else. And that so many minor offenses. Yeah, you accept the devotee gives you something and you accept it with your left hand. That's an offense, for example. We should not do that. And so yeah, or the devotee is in the temple and he touches his feet. Yeah, that's an offense. Yeah. So so many things. Minor offenses. Yeah. Some devotees say something
Could you
and
please
you.
repeat the second one? But
The second, what do you mean then? That the devotee in the temple,
the second, yeah.
he sits and he touches with his hand his own feet. that's offensive.
This is an offense.
Yeah, serious.
Oh,
Because,
oh God, oh God.
well, it's a minor offense, but it's certainly an offense. Because the feet are the most dirty part of the body, and it touches the floor, and then you touch it with your hand, and you have to wash your hand. That yeah.
And how is it that when we do a Guru Puja or Tulasi Puja, then I have to remove my socks and later on I pull on my socks again?
Yeah, you remove your socks and then you purify your hand.
Yes.
Yes, you
Yeah.
purify your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you touch your feet and then your head, that's not appropriate.
That means when I pull on again my socks, I should again purify my
Yeah,
hand.
sure.
Ah, okay, I'm sorry.
You have to always purify.
Yeah.
Because,
Thank you very much.
therefore, when I do the Guru Puja, at the end I put on my socks and then someone has taken a plate already away with the. Then I have to follow. Oh, one more moment, I have to. Yeah. These are small things, and that. Or you show your feet towards another devotee. That's also not good. It should always cover the feet, even if we sit. That there's just so many small offenses that we should not take them serious. So Papa said we should tolerate and forgive minor offenses, because that is in Bhagavad Gita, where Prabhupada speaks about forgiveness. That forgiveness is one of the divine qualities. The ksama, that it is all in two places in Bhagavad Gita. This ksama is mentioned, forgiveness. That yeah. But serious offenses, that's something else. Okay. That good. Then we continue. That we can go to the next paragraph. Those who think that Krishna consciousness is limited to a certain section of people, a certain section of devotees, or a certain tract of land are generally prone to see the external features of the devotee. So that's something to be careful. If we start to differentiate between an Indian devotee and a Western devotee that is on the Baldi platform, that because he's born in a certain country and the other in another country, that's the neophyte. Such neophytes, unable to appreciate the exalted service of the advanced devotee, try to bring the Mahabhagavat to their platform. Prabhupada is going to speak here about himself. He said, Prabhupada said, I've been empowered. I spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. One cannot do that without special empowerment of Krishna. But some of my god brothers did not appreciate that and tried to bring me to their platform of service. And that is offensive. So Prabhupada explains, we experience such difficulty in propagating Krishna consciousness all over the world. Unfortunately, we are surrounded by neophyte god brothers, he's speaking about the Gaudiya Matis, god brothers, who do not appreciate the extraordinary activities of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. They simply try to bring us to their platform and they criticize us in every respect. We very much regret their naive activities and poor fund of knowledge. An empowered person who is actually engaged in the confidential service of the Lord should not be treated as an ordinary human being, For it is stated that unless one is empowered by Krishna, one cannot spread the Krishna conscious movement all over the world. And it is in the biography of Lord Chaitanya, of Lord Chandas Thakur, who said, there it is said, in the future, Lord Chaitanya will send his Senapati Bhakta, his expert field commander, who will spread Krishna consciousness all over the world in every town and village. And that is Prabhupada, and Prabhupada has done it. Yes, Saraswati?
Maharaj, is it all right in a way to make a distinction between pure devotees? For example, to say that Srila Prabhupada is higher than another devotee who may be a pure devotee but didn't achieve as much as him?
That it's not much, not in terms of achievement alone, but there are different levels of pure devotees, yes? That in the spiritual world, you have the friends of Krishna, Sakyaras. More intense love for Krishna is parental love. It's more intense, it's higher. And higher is conjugal love, is the love of the gopis in intensity. And among the gopis, the highest is Radharani. So there are gradations among pure devotees. That because once you have come to the stage of prema, that but then in this you have nine stages of devotional service from Shraddha to prema. Prema is the highest, but then within prema, within the pure devotees, you have also levels that or stages. Mana, Sneha, Pranaya, Raga, Anuraga, Bhava as a stage of prema, and Mahabhav. Srimad Radharani is on Mahabhav. Lord Chaitanya is in the mood of Srimad Radharani, is on Mahabhav. Like Queen Kunti is Anuraga, Prabhupada says. Very great attraction to Krishna, which cannot be broken at any moment, Anuraga. That's so you have different levels of pure devotees. But we should not be concerned with that. We as neophytes, we cannot understand that. But when one becomes pure, then one recognizes a different intensity. So yes, there are levels of gradations between pure devotees, but we don't have to be concerned with that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. Okay, then we continue. Those who think that Krishna consciousness is limited to a certain section of people, a certain section of devotees, or a certain tract of land, are generally prone to see the external feature of the devotee. Such neophytes, unable to appreciate the exalted service of the advanced devotees, try to bring the Mahabharata to their platform. And then, yeah, so I read it already. That's an empowered person who is actually engaged in confidential service of the Lord should not be treated as an ordinary person, for it is stated that unless one is empowered by the Lord, one cannot spread Krishna consciousness. So in the last paragraph, can someone read the last paragraph?
Hare Krishna, when thus criticizes a pure devotee, he commits an offense, Vaishnava aparat, that is very obstructive and dangerous for those who desire to advance in Krishna consciousness. A person cannot derive any spiritual benefit when he offends the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Everyone should therefore be very careful not to be jealous of an empowered Vaishnava or a Shuddha Vaishnava. It is also an offense to consider an empowered Vaishnava an object of disciplinary action. It is offensive to try to give him advice or to correct him. One can distinguish between a neophyte Vaishnava and an advanced Vaishnava by their activities. The advanced Vaishnava is always situated as a spiritual master, and the neophyte is always considered his disciple. The spiritual master must not be subjected to the advice of the disciple, nor should the spiritual master be obliged to take instructions from those who are not his disciples. This is the sum and substance of Srila Rupa Goswami's advice in the sixth verse.
Okay. So, living in a society of devotees, and we seem to have sometimes many problems in dealing with each other. But the essence is that we have to develop loving relationships with the devotees. And if we come to that platform of a madhyam and an intermediate devotee, then we can understand the position of the Vaishnavas and we deal with them appropriately. And all our problems will then be solved. I try to give appropriate dealings and inappropriate dealings, like a lesser devotee one who is less advanced with a beginner. He humbly serves the higher devotee. That is a proper way of relating to each other. But sometimes we see that a lesser devotee may become envious and try to pull the higher devotee down by speaking behind his back or whatever. Of course, being equal, that then we have a relationship of friendship, openness with each other. We can discuss realizations with each other. If we have that come on that platform of friendship, but mostly this friendship we need to develop. Of course, when it goes wrong is in such relationship we become proud of ourselves. We think better than the other, and by that try to compete with the other. That's not good. But then you have the relationship with the superior devotee to the subordinate. The superior devotee answers questions and help him in all respects. So the perversion of this relationship is to exploit him for one's own sense gratification. That one takes so that the superior devotee uses a neophyte to give him material benefit. That is not good. This is also offensive. So a few things which we have to learn from this verse, number 6, is that pure devotees are above mistakes, but externally they can make mistakes. That we can also reassess ourselves. That we discussed also previously how to correct seniors. We have to be very careful. But we see Prabhupada was an example of how to deal with different kinds of devotees. But we see in ISKCON many times there is some racism going on, some casteism in India, or guru groupism. That's very dangerous. So yes, Any further comments on this subject matter? Yes, here you come.
I would like to ask regarding to Kunti Devi, if we speak about her and her Anuraga, because actually I don't know so much regarding to this topic, but I thought that if someone reached the prema, that person for sure not so long can stay in the material platform and in this body. So therefore, I would like to hear a bit more regarding to this topic, if it's possible.
Yeah, when Krishna appears, then he comes with his eternal associates. The Pandavas, Queen Kunti, they travel with Lord Krishna from universe to universe to play the same drama. And Krishna makes sure that they played good because he brings them in illusion with his yoga maya, spiritual energy, that they can play it nicely. And that, yes, that they are eternal associates of the Supreme Lord, that who are engaged in his mission, and that, yes, that's what I could say on it. Good. Then, if there are no further questions, we go to text 7. That of course, text 7 speaks about giving up our avidya, our ignorance, cleanse our heart, and it. So, if we want to come to this Uttama Bhakti, this pure devotional service, we must first cleanse our consciousness. We must remove all the material contamination which covers the mirror of the heart. Lord Chaitanya said, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. The Cheto Darpa, the mirror of the heart. There's so much dust on it, which are all these anarthas, material desires. And we have to remove it by carefully chanting the Hare Krishna mantra every day. Then we come gradually cured from the jaundice of ignorance. Prabhupada said jaundice. That will be discussed in this purport. Jaundice is a disease of the liver. And when you have that disease, then sugar tastes bitter. But the cure is continue to take sugar. That will cure the liver. And then gradually you will come to taste it nicely again. To taste it. To taste the sweet. To taste the sweet taste again. Just by taking it. In a similar way, we should continue to chant the mantra every day. Then gradually we become cured of these anarthas. These anarthas are factually ignorance. Because anarthas are material desires. Material desires are based on I am the body. So that the basis of this material desires is ignorance. And by that is ignorance of avidya is removed. And by that we revive our knowledge of our constitutional position. We start to understand I am Krishna's service, Krishna Das. So that's the topic, and and I will start with reciting the verse. Syat Krishna nama sarita disitapya vidya Pito patapta rasanaya narichokanu Kint adarat anudinam kalu seva justa Svatvi kramat bhavati tat katamulahantri. Can someone read the translation, please? The holy name.
The holy name, character, pastime, and activities of Krishna are all transcendental sweet like sugar candy. All to the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet. It is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens with his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root.
Yes. So Prabhupada points out in a purport we are misled by blind leaders. Blind leaders were of four kinds, and he refers to 7:15 of Bhagavad Gita. Namam duskritina muda papatyante naradamam maya pritahyan ashrambhavam ashvita. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender to me. So there are four parts here, four kinds of blind leaders: the Mudas, Naradams, Mayapritagyan, and the Asram Bhavam Ashvitaha. The Mudas, Prabhupada says, are those who are grossly foolish. They are working very hard, but don't think about the purpose of life. It's like the ass is working very hard, that for what? To get some grass. His master gave him some grass, but grass is everywhere. And they want to enjoy the fruits of their labor themselves. And they don't want to give anything to the Supreme Lord. So he does not really know for the reason why he works so hard. He remains satisfied when his stomach is filled. And then you have the second one, Prabhupada says, is the Naradam. The Naradam, Prabhupada is the lowest of mankind. In the Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada said this is 99.9% of the population are Naradams. So they don't follow any regulative principles, but they are socially, politically, and religiously, socially and politically developed, but they are not following religious principles. So that's most of the people. 99.9% of the population is Naradam, Prabhupada says. And then the third class is the Maya Paritarhyan. These are the so-called scientists who say no need of God, so it's just science, there is no God. And so their erudite knowledge, Prabhupada, is nullified by the illusory energy. And then you have the Ashram Bhavam Ashvita. Those who are outspoken atheists. They're envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Their life is just to decry the Personality of Godhead, and they never surrender to the Supreme Lord. So these are the four false leaders of society. But especially the Ashram Bhavam Ashrita, this Asuric, they are against Krishna, and they are against the Krishna consciousness movement. They try to oppose us. Prabhupada said, why are they so envious and opposed to us? He says, it's because they are polluted by the reaction of their fruitive activities. So if we want to understand Krishna, one must be free from all dirt accumulated within the heart due to fruitive activities. Because most of us are covered by these lower modes, passion and ignorance. And as a result, we perform sinful activities. And the reaction of such activities is the desire to do more sinful activities. So that's the material entanglement. And then Prabhupada will speak about the cure of the disease. But let's first read the first paragraph. Someone can read it.
Hare Krishna, the holy name of Lord Krishna, his quality, pastimes, and so forth are all of the nature of absolute truth, beauty, and bliss. Naturally, they are very sweet, like sugar candy, which appeals to everyone. These signs, however, is compared to a disease called jaundice, which is caused by bilious secretions. Attacked by jaundice, the tongue of the diseased person cannot palatably relish sugar candy. Rather, a person with jaundice considers something sweet to taste very bitter. Avidya, ignorance, similarly perverts the ability to relish the transcendentally palatable name, quality, form, and pastimes of Krishna. Despite this disease, if one with great care and attention takes to Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name, and hearing Krishna's transcendent pastimes, his ignorance will be destroyed and his tongue enabled to taste the sweetness of the transcendent nature of Krishna and his paraphernalia. Such a recovery of spiritual health is possible only by the regular cultivation of Krishna consciousness.
Yes, because the chanting, if done without offenses in a regular way, it frees us from a misconception about our identity. This misconception is to think that we are the body, we are a part and parcel of the material world, but no. And we think that the goal of life is to exploit the material enemy for our sense gratification. But the reality is that we are Nityadas, Jiveras Rupahoin Krishnera Nityadas. We are eternally the servant of Krishna, and our goal is Prema Pumarta Mahan, pure love of God. That is what the chanting, if we perform it without offenses, especially without offending devotees, what the result is. That is how it takes away the avidya. But these 10 offenses against the holy name are like jaundice that prevents us from tasting the sweetness of the holy name. We'll hear more about that. Can someone read the next paragraph?
When a man in the material world takes more interest in the materialistic way of life than in Krishna consciousness, he is considered to be in a diseased condition. The normal condition is to remain an eternal servant of the Lord, Jivara Swarupaha Krishnera Nityadas. This healthy condition is lost when the living entity forgets Krishna due to being attracted by the external features of Krishna's Maya energy. This world of Maya is called Durashraya, which means false or bad shelter. One who puts his faith in Durashraya becomes a candidate for hoping against hope. In the material world, everyone is trying to become happy, and although their material attempts are baffled in every way, due to their nescience, they cannot understand their mistake. People try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. This is the way of the struggle for existence in the material world. If one in this condition is advised to take to Krishna consciousness and be happy, he does not accept such instruction.
Yeah. So the healthy condition is lost when the living entity forgets Krishna, due to his being attracted by the external feature of Krishna's Maya energy. That Maya is so strong. Durajaya, very difficult to overcome. That people are are making plans to become happy, happy, happy. But they get distressed and then finally they die. Without thinking, who am I? What's my goal of life? There's a struggle of existence in the material world that they don't nativitus vertigatimifis nam durasi daar achtamanina. Prahlad Maharaj said, yes, they don't know that the goal of life is to serve Krishna. But they are absorbed in this getting wealth and so on, which has no value for the soul. And therefore they are too busy with sense gratification, and trying to get everything for the body, but they forget their real self. And then Prabhupada speaks about these 4 kinds of atheistic people who do not surrender unto him, and that who refuse to surrender. Okay, can someone read the next paragraph?
Hare Krishna, this Krishna consciousness movement is being spread all over the world just to remedy this gross ignorance. People in general are misled by blind leaders. The leaders of human society, the politicians, philosophers, and scientists are blind because they are not Krishna conscious. According to Bhagavad Gita, because they are bereft of all factual knowledge due to the atheistic way of life, they are actually sinful rascals and are the lowest among men. Namantam kritino mudaha prapadyanti naradamaha mayaya paritagyana asuram bhabam ashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me.
Such people never surrender to Krishna, and they oppose the endeavor of those who wish to take Krishna's shelter. When such atheists become leaders of society, the entire atmosphere is surcharged with nations. In such a condition, people do not become very enthusiastic to receive this Krishna conscious movement. Just as a diseased person suffering from jaundice does not relish the taste of sugar candy. Similarly, in the present confused state of humanity, Krishna consciousness, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the only remedy for setting the world aright. Although Krishna consciousness may not be very palatable for a diseased person, Srila Rupa Goswami nonetheless advises that if one wants to be cured of the material disease, he must take to it with care and attention. One begins this treatment by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, because by chanting this holy name of the Lord, a person in a material condition will be relieved from all misconceptions. Sheta Darpamarjanam, avidya, a misconception about one's spiritual identity, provides the foundation for ahankar, or false ego within the heart. So this is this avidya, ignorance about our spiritual constitutional position. Yes, Venu.
Hare Krishna, also my actually profession is connected to healing, and with my own purification process, I see that also finally, every challenge, a physical or psychological, has its root in the missing connection to Krishna. The root is the root of all is that we miss him, that we miss this love. How can one in preaching bring this closer to the people as a connection to health without shocking them, to do it in a nice and intelligent way?
Yeah, what I many times say is that, yes, what does everyone want? Well, everyone wants to love and be loved. But do we attain that in this material world? That mostly not. That we many times get the opposite, and but if this same propensity of loving is directed toward God, Krishna, that then you will be connected with your real self and the spirit soul, that with our real self, that mostly you cannot bluntly say to people that you are not this body. They are not ready for it, that most people. Jesus Christ could not say it. They were not ready for it. So yes, we have to be careful that we instruct people when we see they are interested. They are really interested. They want to know. Then we can really understand them. Dinosmin chatadi kamram chavam chara tatadi antara praptiostat hanamuyati. Your body changes. Are you changing now? So that unchanging part, the conscious is your conscious, is the source of your consciousness, is the soul. That because what's the source of consciousness? Then you can explain these things. But people who do not want to be instructed by you, means they are not respecting you, Krishna will never give them the capability to understand what you are saying. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, don't do it, at the end of the 18th chapter. One should explain the secret of devotional service only to those who are austere and who are devotees, who are aspiring devotees, that we can. But if innocent people come and they want to know, we hardly introduce them to this knowledge. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this is the most confidential knowledge. This confidential knowledge. That confidential means that even if we tell them, they cannot understand. Unless they have the appropriate inner mood of surrender, of being a little humble. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay, good. So we have just read here that, so in the beginning this chanting we may not be attracted. We don't have taste. That's because of this ignorance. So if we don't feel taste in the chanting, means we are committing these offenses. We are offensive in our chanting. We commit these 10 offenses, or some of these 10 offenses. That if we start to get taste in the chanting, it means that our ignorance is going gradually and our material desires are diminishing. So that's an important aspect. How can I know that I make spiritual advancement in the chanting of the holy name? is the taste. That will give you that gives you the indication. Now, Papa speaks about the disease of the heart. Can someone read the next paragraph? The real disease in the heart.
The real disease is in the heart. If the mind is cleansed, however, if consciousness is cleansed, a person cannot be harmed by the material disease. To cleanse the mind and the heart from all misconceptions, one should take to this chanting book the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. This is both easy and beneficial. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is immediately freed from the blazing fire of material existence.
Yes, that. So by chanting out holy name, one becomes free from the blazing fire of material existence. But there is a but. There are stages in this chanting, and that is the next paragraph. Can someone read that?
Hare Krishna, there are three stages in chanting the holy name of the Lord. The offensive stage, the stage of lessening offenses, and the pure stage. When a neophyte takes to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, he generally commits many offenses. There are 10 basic offenses, and if the devotee avoids these, he can glimpse the next stage, which is situated between offensive chanting and pure chanting. When one attains the pure stage, he is immediately liberated. This is called Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. As soon as one is liberated from the blazing fire of material existence, he can relish the taste of transcendental life.
Yes, the taste comes again. Three stages: apparat stage, in which we commit offenses, then we don't have much taste. A little taste, not much. And then in the second stage is the clearing stage, or the purification stage, also called namabhas. In that stage, the purification starts when we are starting to give up our offensive mentality. And what is the characteristic? How do we know we are in namabhas, the clearing stage? When we get taste in the chanting. And then that takes a long time, many years. And if the cleansing is finished in the heart, nearly finished, one comes to Nishta, steadiness in devotional service. And then one is liberated from the material conception. One does not suffer anymore. No suffering anymore. And then the real spiritual life begins. And then if we continue chanting, we chant the Sudanam, the pure state, that which brings you beyond liberation. Then your relationship with Krishna will be revealed from within the heart. You are Krishna Das, but Krishna will reveal you gradually by His mercy what kind of servant you are. Yes, Venuya.
Yeah, Krishna Maharaj, I would like to ask something regarding the chain. Also, I cannot say that I know what is taste, but I can only observe. Also, there are a lot of advices how to improve chanting, like different affirmations, no, or things. But I feel during the last months more the need. I will not think about any affirmation. No, I only want, as if my mind is in this condition, only like to listen to the name, because when I think about affirmation, I'm still thinking. So, how is your advice or your experience? I not really know what taste means. I know there are days where my mind is more peaceful, and there are days where it's terrible. Yeah, do you have maybe some advice to this?
The taste is not something that appears in the mind. The material mind is material. That the taste comes from the soul. The taste means you start to feel satisfaction, some transcendental pleasure. A little ecstasy is coming through. But that's coming from the soul, this ecstasy. Does not come from the mind. So your attitude is very nice. We should not listen to the mind. We should just hear the holy name in a mood of humility. We chant as a service to the holy name, to please Krishna. And we try to chant the holy name very clearly pronounced so that we can also nicely hear it, just to please Krishna. Put all your love in the chanting, or affection, whatever you have. And that's all. That Krishna will do the rest. That's our part. That's okay? Good. Yes, Erika.
May I ask, please, regarding to this, that still when we have this kind of taste and the symptoms, we can still feel and see in this material body. So therefore, outside, the body still become affected, even if it's by material senses, even if by the senses from the soul, the body will still be part of this experience, right?
Well, I don't know if I get your point right, but the real experience of the chanting of the holy name is that we are going to remember Krishna. The more we remember Krishna, or the more we are absorbed in the holy name, the more we forget about this body. So, if one is completely absorbed in the holy name, one just forgets about the body. There's no body consciousness. If one comes to the higher strata of spiritual advancement, one forgets one has a material body. It's like a drunken man. He doesn't know whether he's dressed or not. That is explained in Nectar of Devotion. So yes, it's not a bodily experience. Does that help?
Yes, Maharaj. And practically, I guess that will not happen from one day to another. So that can still happen that someone have a kind of experience that during chanting after many years, some kind of pleasure is there in the body. And for sure, we are still in the bodily concept. There is no question. So, is this possible that slowly, still, the two can work somehow next to each other? I mean, do we have, and is possible that we have material pleasure during chanting, if it's not from the spiritual soul?
If you have material pleasure during chanting, then your chanting is not spiritual.
And how we can judge if it's spiritual or material, the pleasure?
The spiritual pleasure is ecstasy. You will recognize that's coming from the soul. It's rarely attained. But even as a neophyte, Krishna can give you some experience. It's not like it's a straight line it's going up and down. Sometimes Krishna is merciful. I've chanted 64 rounds for some time, and then mostly the last rounds, then I feel quite elevated, but in the beginning, it's just going in. You chant with offenses. But it's a gradual development. But what the point I make is be careful that the chanting of Hare Krishna, the taste that comes, is not a material experience. It's not an experience in the mind. And material pleasures are an experience of the mind. Also, when you taste something nice, the experience is in the mind factually. Because when you sleep, you can have the same experience without the senses. That it's just an experience of the mind. Because in the beginning we don't know what's spiritual. We have most devotees, the neophytes in the beginning. That is what Chaitanya Charan says. He says in a very nice way. They have a lollipop idea of spirituality. and that is, you think, yes, I'm going to chant and my life will be rose and Sharanamrita, everything will be nice. But spiritual life is not meant for that. This body is material, it remains miserable, it has to go through its miseries and so on. But it's a question of transcending it by coming on the spiritual platform. That's the point. And when you transcend and you become advanced, your spiritual body becomes active, and you should forget about this material body. It's not such an important thing anymore. that whether this material body lives or dies, I've already the experience of my eternal body. So what's the use? But these are higher platforms. But that is a great error made by neophytes. They think they are already on the higher platform. But it's not so easy, not so cheap. But it is a sure process, slow process. It when you will come to that platform. Does that help?
Yes, Maharaj, thank you very much. I would ask still two things. The first one regarding to this, that even a neophyte, a Kanishadikari, when he has a kind of taste thanks to the mercy of the Lord, right? Because that can be still spiritual. Then what happening practically? The material senses are stopped for a few seconds, and spiritual sense become activated for the short period. That is right. What happening?
No. It's going slowly. And you may have such an extreme experience for a few seconds or for some time. Krishna gives some extra mercy too, but then it's covered again. But even that is very rare. No, we just chant Hare Krishna. We are conditioned, but we try to chant and concentrate on the holy name and feel Krishna's presence. We do what we can. And that's our service to Krishna. We don't have expectations of any realization. That's up to Krishna. We are serving him by chanting these holy names, and what comes or not, it's up to Krishna. And that should be our inner attitude. We are servants of Krishna, whether we are conditioned or not. Because if we are liberated, we are still conditioned, but we are conditioned by the spiritual energy. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. In the spiritual world, everyone is conditioned by the spiritual energy. But under the spiritual energy, we have much more freedom than on the condition. But we are always under Krishna's energy. But it's a gradual process. You hear the Bhagavatam every day, because we need also to do that. By that we can give up this offensive mentality. And gradually we come to a stage of being satisfied satisfaction and less disturbed. We become more detached. We don't take things so much serious in this world. And gradually you come to that point. But it's a gradual development. But Rupa Goswami said the process of Krishna consciousness is a slow process, but a certain process. That's don't perform spiritual life to get this extraordinary ecstasy that devotees who are really advanced, they don't like this ecstasy. But because it interferes with their service to Krishna, which is more important. No? Trying to feel the ecstasy is a selfish desire. No, we try to serve Krishna. That's a goal of our life, and that Krishna does with us what he wants. Lord Chaitanya said, I don't want followers, I don't want relationship with the opposite sex, and I don't want liberation saying. I just want to serve you life after life of life. So that is what we have to develop, that attitude, and not the expectations to get a certain experience in the mind, like all the new age philosophies are it's of experience with the mind. That is lollipop spirituality. We are not doing these things. We are going for the real thing. That the real thing is service. Yes, Venuria.
Hare Krishna, I would on one side like to know how do we come more that these I just want to serve you life after life is really honest, as because in my case I have also some fear that Krishna wants something from me, what I think I'm not able to do, and if I as I remember as a quote from my Guru Maharaj correctly, then he said this is too a high level for us, as this I just want to serve you life after life, that we should rather concentrate on back to God. But I'm not 100 sure if I remember it correctly.
Yeah, that's right. That we should be confident by performing this devotional service, I will go back to Godhead. But how that happens, that we leave up to Krishna. Going back to Godhead, why are we going back to Godhead? To serve Krishna in the spiritual world. So we start with serving here. And if we do it with a pure desire, we create a Vaikuntha atmosphere we find also in the spiritual world. That's the idea Prabhupada has created this movement, so that we can create a Vaikuntha atmosphere. The temples are like embassies. That is the idea. But in the beginning, it's not wrong to have material desires. Krishna says 4 kinds of people with material desires. They approach me, that's fine. But we must try to use these material desires in the service of Krishna. And then they will disappear gradually if we use them in the service of Krishna. Then the material part, the lusty desires which are behind it will disappear. They become purified. And yes, we want to go back to Godhead. We want to be free from birth, death, old age, and disease. That's good. But we have to develop the inner appropriate attitude. An inner appropriate attitude must go towards the point of even giving up these desires. And when we give it up and we 100% want to serve Krishna, Krishna brings us back to the spiritual world. But if we don't give up the desires, then it's a problem. But that's a natural development in devotional service. It's nothing we have to strive for separately. That yes, Venuia?
Yeah, it's maybe from Krishna's point of view of, okay, also in my case, I have a lot of limitations for service, also bodily limitations, and I think, oh, it would be nice if I could you serve better without these bodily limitations. Is this as a good attitude, also for going back to Godhead, also for the desire to be perfect?
That's fine. But at the same time, you must leave it up to Krishna, if you so desire, Krishna. Otherwise, I serve you in the mind, if you so desire. That's fine. Sure. That's a nice desire, spiritual desire. Good, Erika?
Yes, just the last question. May I ask, please, that if we check Jagai and Wadai's situation when they commit a serious offense against Lord Nityananda Prabhu, they didn't receive any kind of, how can I say, nothing else but just blessed. They become blessed, and the Lord liberated them, and they become pure devotees, the servant of the Lord. Then is not this is the path and the mindset how we should think regarding to our spiritual future, or I mean, if we truly want to depend on the mercy of the Lord, now maybe is the right moment to be very optimistic and don't think that can take still many lifetimes, or that can be just if it's a very heavy path, and then we just kind of limit ourselves at one point. I don't know how to understand the two things together, that to be serious and is very tough and we need to do all what we can, but at the same time we can do nothing, we just need to depend on the Lord mercy, right?
Yeah. That, but it's the key point is faith. Faith in the words of Krishna, faith in the words of the spiritual master. Just accepting Krishna's instructions 100%. Have faith in them. That it's like becoming a child. That accepting a child accepts a young child that accepts what his parents are telling him, that when they are very young, when they are innocent, they accept things very wholeheartedly. And if we have just 100% faith in what we hear from Krishna and we do it, then sure, our path back to God, it will be very short. But we make it complicated. We think there are so many things, complicated process and so on, but it's complicated for the complicated, it's simple for the simple. The simple-heartedness. If I serve Krishna, I will attain perfection. If you are 100% sure, you will attain it. But these material desires within the heart block that. They are blocking that. Because it means we have faith in the material energy, that in this body and so on. If we put our faith in this body and not in the words of Krishna, the spiritual master, it will be very difficult. It's such a simple thing that don't make it a mental game in your mind that, oh, it will be very difficult, I cannot do it, and so on. We should not think like that. Just we serve Krishna and leave it up to Krishna and have faith Krishna will take care of me, and he will. That is very simple. Okay, good. So the conclusion is that in order to get free from material desires, one must take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. The Krishna conscious movement is especially meant for creating an atmosphere in which people can take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. One must begin with faith, and when his faith increases, by chanting, a person can become a member of society. We are sending Sankirtan parties all over the world, and they are experiencing that even in the remotest part of the world, where there is no knowledge of Krishna, the Hare Krishna mantra attracts thousands of men to our camp. In our areas, people begin to imitate devotees by shaving their heads and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra only a few days after hearing the mantra. This may be imitative, but imitation of a good thing is desired. Some imitators shyly become interested in being initiated by the spiritual master and offer themselves for initiation. If one is sincere, is initiated, and this call is called Bhajna Kriya. One then actually engages in the service of the Lord by regularly chanting the Hare Krishna mantra 16 rounds daily and refraining from illicit sex, intoxications, meat eating, and gambling. By Bhajna Kriya, one attains freedom from the contamination of materialistic life. He no longer goes to a restaurant or hotel to taste so-called palatable dishes made with meat and onions, nor does he care to smoke or drink tea or coffee. He not only refrains from illicit sex, but avoids sex life entirely. Nor is he interested in wasting his time in speculating of gambling. In this way, it is understood that one is becoming cleansed of unwanted things, anartha nivritti. The word anartha refers to unwanted things. Anarthas are vanquished when one becomes attached to the Krishna consciousness movement. When a person is relieved from unwanted things, he becomes fixed in executing his Krishna activities. Indeed, he becomes attached to such activities and experiences ecstasy in executing devotional service. That is called bhava, the preliminary awakening of dormant love of Godhead. Thus a conditioned soul becomes free from material existence and loses interest in the body conception of life, including material opulence, material knowledge, and material attraction of all variety. At such a time, one can understand who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is and what this Maya is. Although Maya may be present, it cannot disturb a devotee once he attains the bhava stage. This is because the devotee can see the real position of Maya. Maya means forgetfulness of Krishna, and forgetfulness of Krishna and Krishna consciousness stand side by side like light and shadow. If one remains in a shadow, he cannot enjoy the facilities offered by light. And if one remains in the light, he cannot be disturbed by the darkness of shadow. By taking to Krishna consciousness, one gradually becomes liberated and remains in the light. Indeed, he does not even touch the darkness, as confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna Surya Sam Maya Aya Andakar Yam Krishna Tam Mai Maya Adhikar. Krishna is compared to the sunshine, and Maya is compared to darkness. Whereas there is sunshine, there cannot be darkness. As soon as one takes the Krishna consciousness, the darkness of illusion, the influence of the external energy will immediately vanish. So we must give up these 10 offenses, because we learned here they are like the disease of jaundice that prevent us to taste the sweetness of Krishna in the form of his name. In text 8 we will go deeper into that. Because of course when a neophyte takes to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, he generally commits many offenses. We see that and of course there are 10 basic offenses and we have to avoid these. And then we can come to the next stage, which is between the offensive and the pure chanting, the clearing stage, that is called Bhavamada Vajnanirvapanam by Lord Chaitanya, cleansing of the mirror of the heart. And then when one is liberated, then we can relish and start to taste transcendental life. So it's a process from Shraddha to Prema, that and the holy name is the means and the end. If we are liberated, if we have love for God, that we chant always the holy name. So Prabhupada says it's this Krishna conscious movement. It creates Shraddha, faith, by spreading the holy name of the Lord. And it strengthens us that faith by sadhu sangha, by the association of devotees, and then it gives us facility to engage in devotional service to the spiritual master, bhajana kriya, and then these anarthas will go, anartha nivritti. And when one becomes steady in devotional service, nishta, then great taste comes, ruchi. That's great taste, ruchi. And then from ruchi, ashakti comes, then we are very attached to the attachment of the Krishna consciousness, and from ashakti, then we comes to the platform of spiritual emotion. That's not experienced in the mind, in the spiritual mind. Not in the material mind. That's not possible. Spiritual emotions, that's bhava. And when that's condensed, then we come to prema. Prema is the ultimate goal. So yes, any further questions on this? Yes, Phenomenon.
I have a last one. Sorry.
Yeah. The first
Okay. Herr Shamrat, regarding we must avoid these 10 offenses. The most difficult is for me to avoid this inattentiveness. To be, it depends on daily condition, tiredness, or whatever. And I have a little experience that I can imagine that all the other offenses come from inattentiveness. But what can we do when we are not able to be 100% attentive all the time while chanting?
Yeah, then we must recognize the cause of the inattentiveness. The cause of inattentiveness, you start to chant and the mind wants to do something else. That's a problem. And what does it want to do? Things not directly related with Krishna. And that is our disease. Lord Haridas Thakur calls it the disease of the heart. We want to enjoy and eat rotten things in this world and so on, or get wealth, or give pleasure to the body or the mind in so many ways. So these are material desires that taste for material things, for dead things, because material things are not alive, dead things. So we have to be patient. It's not overnight that this is going away. It's gradually that sometimes Krishna brings us in a situation of great anxiety. And by this anxiety, we take shelter of him and we can concentrate. That sometimes it gives us a push. But we should not wait. Like Queen Kunti, she prays like that when I'm in danger, then I can think of you. But when everything goes good, then I have the tendency to forget us. So let us let these calamities come again and again, but we should not pray like that. That no need. We are in Kali Yuga. Calamities come on their own accord. We don't have to pray for them. But of course, that is a hard way to learn. The easy way to learn is hearing the Bhagavatam every day and try to absorb it in it. And gradually, we will come to that realization. But for some, it goes quicker than another. I'm 35 years in the process, it starts to go better. But it takes a while. So we try our best to progress as much as possible. And it's up to Krishna to give us the realization when he thinks we are ready for it. Yeah.
Yeah, genau. Also for me, it's mostly challenging. Also one point is if I not had enough rest, then the mind is naturally more disturbed. Also if I would have need more sleep. And the second is when I have a longer to-do list. Also if you see your day and oh God, how shall I manage everything every day? Also this today again. So these are my main challenge. Also from physical side and these to-do lists.
Yeah, therefore we have to take care of the body as much as we can. But it's up to Krishna. But if Krishna says we try our best, then at the time of death he will be merciful one way or another. Hare Krishna. Erika?
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. I have two questions actually regarding to our topic. The first is that if there is, then which stage is that where we don't anymore realize if someone commit offense against us, and the same times us also naturally don't commit anything against others, not just devotees but every human being, animals, etc. And the other. That can happen that if we are so lucky that we meet with a pure devotee, this purification process can happen in a very short time period, even now, or not really yet. That will took more time anyway.
Yeah, on your first question, what was your first question again?
Sorry. If there is a stage, then which one where we don't realize anymore if someone commit offense against us, and when at the same time us also naturally we don't commit any more offenses?
After liberation, you realize your position as a spirit soul, and you naturally will act as a spirit soul spontaneously. Then there is no question of offenses anymore. If one comes to Bhava Prema, then it's spontaneous. Spontaneous, one does the right thing. And the second question? Can you repeat?
Thank you very much for already for the first question. Yes, and the second, is there any, I mean, still even nowadays that can happen with a lucky one, that just by associating with a pure devotee in a shortly period, that person's heart can be purified.
That is by the blessings of a pure devotee, that is explained in Nectar of Devotion. Prahlad Maharaj was in the womb of Katyati, I think. Anyway, Narada Muni offered him ardent blessings. It's in Nectar of Devotion, and he became by these blessings, he became a pure devotee. But that's very rare, and usually that is not happening by chance, usually. because you can go back to the previous life of Prahlad. He was also a devotee. So it's an evolution, life after life. It's going life after life. That if you have 5% Krishna consciousness, you start with 5% in your next life. How that happens is explained in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The devotee that take birth in a family of pure devotees, so great transcendentalists, and become automatically attracted to the spiritual path again. Yes. So, in that way, but if we want to make quick advancement, that can make quick advancement by pleasing Srila Prabhupada. And by engaging in his mission to do something extraordinary in his mission. Yes. That is a way, that's a shortcut. That it requires surrender, but yeah. Hare Krishna.
And is still appropriate if someone pray for this?
For this special mercy.
Yes.
We cannot force any mercy from Krishna, but you can pray for it. That let me know what happens.
I hope I will have the chance to share.
Hare Krishna. Something else? Our time is up. It's just 2 hours. So we will continue on Saturday evening, and probably by Sunday we will finish the course. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.
Hare Krishna.